guys, welcome back to another pre-dental video. This one's going to be an advice video focusing all about pre-dental experiences and activities. So some of my recommendations how to make the most out of different activities that you might be doing in undergrad as a pre-dental student to get the most out of them, to learn the most, to make the most connections, to find out if dentistry is really for you, and to just have a good experience so that you can talk about it during interviews, all of those things. So there's 4 kind of events that I'm going to talk about, and I'll go through tips for kind of making the most out of all of those experiences. So first would be pre-dental events or ASDA events at a dental school near you or at a dental school that you're interested in applying to. And then next would be shadowing, so shadowing dentists. And then next is open houses at dental schools, and then finally is your pre-dental club or pre-dental society, whatever you have at your university. So for pre-dental days or ASDA events put on at the dental schools, I'll personally just go through like what I did and then talk about tips for making the most out of it. So for my application, I included ASDA events at University of Michigan's ASDA chapter. They did a student shadowing day this past fall that I went to, where you got to watch a D2 in sim lab. And then at Detroit Mercy last fall, I did a shadowing day where half the day you're with a D1 and half the day you're with a D2. So you got to see the didactic classwork of a D1, and then you got to see a D2 in the sim lab as well. So those are really cool events put on by their ASDA chapters. And sometimes ASDA chapters also try to do even just like networking events. So they might have like a pizza night where you can come and meet the dental students, and maybe even some faculty at the dental school will be there. So main tip for those kind of things, the networking, more social things, is just to show up and then be social. So introduce yourself to people. It might be uncomfortable if you're going without anyone that you know, but hopefully maybe someone from your pre-dental club will go with you, and you guys can just kind of bounce off each other and start making friends. At least talk to like 1 or 2 dental students that you run into and just introduce yourself. You can say where you're from, ask them where they're from, ask how they like the school, what kind of classes they're taking, what they're doing in sim lab or clinic if they're older. And if you do get a chance to talk to faculty and you're not too intimidated, I highly recommend it. Not only is it great because they get to know you, but odds they remember you are maybe slim, but they might remember your face if you do get an offer for an interview there. But just talking to them again about what are some of your favorite things about the program here? Why do you think the program at X school makes it stand out compared to other schools? Things like that are really good things to discuss with faculty at dental schools and also with students. As for the pre-dental events themselves that are at the dental schools, a lot of them do a pre-dental day or a pre-dental weekend. So I went to a pre-dental weekend at Ohio State my junior year in the fall, and I went to one at Marquette University. They have 2 at Marquette. They have a one during the school year that's like an info, more like presentation day, and you get a tour of the school, and then their hands-on one is over the summer. I wasn't able to go to the summer one because I was busy, I think, but I went to the during the school year one where I still got to see the school and meet the students and stuff. And then I went to one at University of Michigan this past summer where we did lots of hands-on stuff. It was really cool. I'll put in pictures here like as I'm talking if I have any from any of these events. We did an amalgam filling, so that's like the silver filling. We did one of those, and we did some like molds of mouths that you got to do, which was pretty cool. Another thing we did at Michigan, now that I'm trying to remember, is we did some reverse, I can never remember the word, but like reverse vision practices on like paper. So you would like mirror the image like upside down, because when you're holding the mirror instrument in a patient's mouth, like you're not looking the proper way. It's like a reverse image. You have to get used to that. Inverted vision, that is what it's called. So you have to get used to inverted vision. So that was kind of cool practice. We got to drill on the learner preps, which are just like little, I don't even know, not ceramic, but little fake molds that you get to just work on drilling with, and you can like do a little shape. I did a Spartan head. I hope I have pictures of all these still. I'm pretty sure I do. And at Ohio State, I really enjoyed the pre-dental day there. It was super interactive, and I got to do my first composite filling, which is like the white tooth color filling, which is really cool. I still have that, and that's the only time that I've been able to do a composite filling. I've done amalgam fillings at a few pre-dental days, but literally any time you're drilling is so much fun. But Ohio State's was really cool. Just to travel anywhere outside of the state I thought was really fun, just because I'd already been kind of familiar with Ann Arbor and with Detroit Mercy, so it was cool to get to see a new city and a new school. And then I also went to a pre-dental day at Detroit Mercy. So that one I went to my junior year. I might have also went my sophomore year. But so that was also through their ASDA, but this was like a bigger event. Whereas the student shadowing days at Detroit Mercy and at Michigan was like a couple people there. It was not a big thing. But the pre-dental days is like 50 or so students, and it's usually on a Saturday. So that one was really cool. The year I did it, so last year it was just one day, but this year they had it 2 days, and all my friends that went said it was unreal. I didn't go because I was already committed to dental school and everything by then, but they had 2 days and I got to do so many awesome hands-on things. So whatever schools you're looking at, if you have any around you, I know there's some states that don't have dental schools, so I'm very sorry if that's your case, but if you do have the finances to travel for a dental day, I definitely think it's worth it. It's all part of the investment that you're putting into your education and bettering yourself and your application for dental school, so I highly recommend attending them. So as for like making the most out of it, obviously just participate. They don't really give you an option like you have to start doing the hands-on stuff, but I think just like your first time holding a drill, and even still for me, like I've virtually zero experience with drilling still, so just like ask the dental students. Don't feel embarrassed, like how am I supposed to hold the drill, like am I leaning forward too much, or like where would I be placing my hand to get like a, I think it's called a fulcrum I think is what it means, so that you're like have a kind of point to keep you steady, so like you're resting your finger on something. This is literally, I'm gonna watch this back in like a year when I'm in dental school and be like, girl, what were you talking about? But anyways, just ask the dental students questions, because they were in your same shoes. They didn't know anything either. They might still not even know a ton if they're still in their first year. Like, you grow so much in your years in dental school. But ask some questions basically about what you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're supposed to do it, because there's no point in like learning or starting to do anything the wrong way. And also ask them for feedback. Like if you're doing a filling and you already like smooth it down and everything, ask them like how you can shape it more to be like proper anatomy of the tooth and stuff like that. Just gonna give you more practice and also give you more insight into what the correct techniques are. And also while you're there, definitely like talk to other pre-dental students, so people in like benches next to you if you are doing hands-on stuff, or if you're waiting for them to start a presentation and it's allowed to talk. Obviously don't be rude, but if you're allowed to be talking, introduce yourself to the people in the room around you. When you guys are getting like your little breakfast or something, just say, hey, I'm so-and-so. Like I know at Michigan and Detroit, I obviously knew a lot of people because my like peers from MSU were there. But Ohio State and Marquette, I was the only one from MSU that went. So I just sat down in the middle of some people and said, hi, I'm Haley. Where are you guys from? And then a lot of them were Ohio State, or a lot of them were Marquette, but definitely different schools in Wisconsin or different schools in Ohio, or all over the place basically. Asking someone where they're from is a great starting point if you're wondering what to say to people. But yeah, getting to know dental students I think is awesome. Getting to know other pre-dental students is awesome. And then it also kind of goes back to the same tips I gave you before of what to ask dental students and what to ask faculty if you are at these events. Okay, so that was the first topic of the 4. I'm noticing how long this video is going to be, but I know everyone's pretty bored being stuck at home right now, so I hope that this is still entertaining for you. So the next topic that I was going to discuss is shadowing. So you're required to shadow dentists for applying to dental school. They definitely like you to shadow general dentists. I've talked about this in a lot of videos already, but they also love to see you shadow specialists. I've heard mostly from admissions people that they prefer a good chunk of your hours to come from general, because that's what they're training you to do in your 4 years of dental school as a general dentist. They want to make sure that you're okay with that, because not everyone can specialize if you want to. So they just want to make sure you know what you're getting into with general dentistry itself. So I had, I'm literally already forgetting, it feels like so long ago. I applied this past June, and it's March right now, so it was a long time ago. I believe I had 175. No, I had 125 hours of shadowing, and then I had 175 hours of employment in a dental office. So some people would add that all together, but strictly shadowing, I had 60 hours from a general dentist at home that I did towards the end of college. So after my DAT my sophomore year, and then the rest during my junior year before I applied that summer after my junior year. So that was at a general dentist, and then the rest was at an oral surgeon office where I worked and shadowed. So that was all of mine. But yeah, a few general dentist office I think would be ideal, and maybe some specialty offices if you can. It's definitely good to have, I think, 50 hours with one dentist so that they can write your letter of rec and know you very well. Aside from what I actually did, as for tips of getting a lot out of it and keeping track of everything, I personally just took notes on my phone when I left. Do not take your phone out while you're there. Please be professional and respectful, obviously. But also, you don't need to be intimidated. Everyone always, I'm going to keep referencing this, but they've all been in your shoes. If they are a little older, maybe things were different, but they still get it. So don't be afraid to ask some questions. I think for me, you definitely have to like feel it out when you first start at a new office. You don't want to be rude or unprofessional or get in their way or anything. So just kind of like stay back the first day and just get a feel for the dentist and how involved they want you to be, if they want you to talk while patients are in the room or wait till after the patient leaves to ask some questions. But it's really going to be dentist to dentist, and if you don't want to feel it out or you can't feel it out, like it doesn't work for you, you can just ask them before you start, or ask one of the assistants, or ask the front desk, office manager, receptionist, what usually shadows do, because some people are going to want you to be right up in there looking in the patient's mouth, asking them questions the whole time. Some people might like you to take notes to keep you more actively listening, or some people might want you to stand at a distance, kind of just watching their hand motions, not getting that clear of a view. But they might use like the intraoral camera to show you some stuff, or they might talk as they're doing the procedure to tell you about it, but other dentists may not, because they don't want the patients to be stressed out about thinking about that there's a procedure going on in their mouth. So it's really going to vary dentist to dentist, and I know that's frustrating, but trying some out, seeing what works for you. If you really need to be up close and personal and have them explaining stuff the whole time, not every dentist is going to do that, so you might have to go between a few offices to figure out and find one that's good for you for that. But if you're fine just observing from a distance, asking them questions in between patients, you're still going to get a lot out of it. But I think the main way to get a lot out of it is to ask questions, again, at the appropriate time, depending on what your dentist likes. But just asking, oh, why are you using amalgam on this patient? Because it's more common to use composite now. They might say, oh, because this particular situation, blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, it's a baby tooth and they're trying to save money, or different reasons for everything that they're doing, I think is really interesting to learn. And then also just observing their hand motions, or you can keep yourself interested by thinking, okay, so what procedure are they doing? And try to quiz yourself and see if you know like what they would need on their tray, like what the assistant would need to be setting up. I think is also helpful, like what instruments or what materials, if they're doing like certain types of fillings or making a mold or something. I think that's one way to keep yourself involved. Or you can talk to the assistants a lot. That's what I did a lot of the times, because they'll have a lot to tell you as well about the field in general and then about all the instruments and materials. So I think those are really good ways to get a lot out of shadowing. And you can also talk to the front desk, office manager type people out of practice and get to know them and get to know what they're doing. That's a nice side. Everyone always says you don't really learn the business side of dentistry till you're practicing, and that's just another way to get maybe a little head start or get an idea about some things that they do. Okay. So open houses is the next thing I wanted to talk about. This one's probably going to be pretty quick because there isn't all that much you can do while you're there. You're more just like listening and taking information in. But Detroit Mercy hasn't done open houses until this year. They had one planned, but obviously everything shut down these days with everything going on, so they're not having one this year. But Michigan has one every year, and I went to that my freshman year and my junior year. And I thought that was really helpful just to get my foot in the door, learn about the school. They usually do like a presentation about the school. They do a financial aid presentation. They might show you some videos. They might have a speaker. They usually have a student panel, or they have students take you in groups and give you a tour of the school. You usually do get to see the school at open houses, so all that's really, really great. And at the end of the day, they usually have a time for you to either go home, or the different students or faculty will just be kind of standing around like an atrium or whatever the school has, and you can go up and talk to them. So making the most out of that is going to talk to them. I'll reference my earlier part of the video where I told you what you can talk about with dental students or with dental faculty. If this is the year you're applying, 110%. Go up to the head of admissions, dean of admissions, faculty, someone, preferably head of admissions if you can find them, and say, hi, nice to meet you. My name's Haley Schultz. I'm a student at Michigan State University. I'm actually applying this cycle. I just really wanted to come and introduce myself, and I did have a few questions for you. It's a great thing to say, and then hence lead into your questions. So you could ask about their opinion about certain things about the application, certain things about maybe your personal statement, certain things about interview tips, or again, just getting more information about the school. Even like, so like, how do students like it here? Where do students typically live? How have you liked working here? What's your experience been like? What brought you to Detroit Mercy Dental or wherever school it is? Those are all questions you could ask them, and I'm sure you can come up with more depending on the school and like their own programs and stuff you're actually wondering about. Obviously, it's best to ask some questions that you actually mean and you're genuinely inquiring about, because it'll come across much less fake. But yeah, definitely talk to the faculty there and pay attention on your tour, ask questions. I was so inquisitive on my interviews actually during the school tours. I would ask the dental students like 4 questions, or 4, 5, 6 questions in the tour, and the tour is like 20-30 minutes. So people in my group probably thought I was crazy, but I just like wanted to know, and I would ask similar questions at all the different interviews and like compare them. So you can start doing that in undergrad if the schools around you do have open houses or pre-dental days, whatever. You can ask them all similar questions and kind of have that in your mind when you're thinking about where you want to apply, or just what your top choice is when you're going into applications. Some things I would ask about again is like, where do students live? How do they like it here? How much is rent typically for students? What kind of organizations do you have that students are involved in? What are you involved in? Do you feel like you have a lot of time? Do you feel like courses are challenging? Do you feel like you're going to be prepared when you graduate? What's your goals after graduation from dental school? Like literally anything under the sun you can ask them about the program. There's so many questions, but that's just one idea. And that's pretty much everything I have about open houses. I said that would be a slightly shorter section. But the 4th topic is your pre-dental club. I guess the beginning and the end were like the best of this. Pre-dental days are insane, unreal, so cool that we get to be in the dental school and using drills and like doing dentistry as undergrads. So fun. And then your pre-dental club is also, at least my experience, so fun and so rewarding. It is tough depending on your school, like how interactive it is, or like meeting people might be a difficult part, but literally still going. I feel like you get a lot out of it. My favorite meeting every year from Predental Club at Michigan State has been the senior panel, and then we also have the admission officers for Detroit Mercy and for Michigan on different nights come and talk to us about their programs, and that's another great chance to go up and introduce yourself if your school does ever do that with the local dental school, or even not local. I know the head of admissions for Detroit Mercy travels all around the country presenting like that, so definitely introduce yourself to them if they come speak at your meetings. But other than admissions, there's just so much great information that you can get in your pre-dental club. I know we did some hands-on stuff this year. We did just like a stress relief painting night, which is kind of fun for like manual dexterity and also just getting to chat and meet each other. It's really nice to meet other pre-dental students, because when you're going through your application, you're going to have lots of questions, or you're just going to want advice, or just people to stress out with that can relate to your issues. I think it's a really great place to meet people that are going through the same things as you, and also people older than you. If you're like a freshman or a sophomore, people that are applying are really good mentors to have and connections to make. I know I'm reading a lot of people's personal statements that are applying this cycle, or giving them DAT advice, or even like I have a friend who's a freshman here who I just give her advice about like which classes she might want to take, or like get her motivated, like keep pushing through. Like it's just really great to make networking connections. And like I already have a lot of friends from Predental Club here that are at Michigan already, like D1s, D2s. Once I get there, they'll be D2s and D3s. But just like having those connections, I think makes life in the dental community like so much more rewarding and exciting, just knowing that you have people there to support you already. And that just takes time to like build that foundation. So I know it might be intimidating, but you really just have to put yourself out there, introduce yourself to the person sitting next to you, and hope for the best. So the meetings themselves can be very informative. Like I mentioned, the senior panel is really cool to see where everyone's going to. I don't know what your club does, obviously, and if you don't have one, you can form one and use some of these ideas, or if you have one and it's not the best, use some of these ideas. Or if you guys have ideas for us to make ours better, I would love to hear them in the comments, and I can tell next year's e-board about them. But senior panel is really helpful because they go through and say like all their stats, obviously, and like how much they volunteered, where they went, like interview experiences, and then where they're going to dental school. And that's always been really inspiring from freshman year till now. The DAT prep meeting is usually really helpful. I'm sure every pre-dental club does that. That was really helpful my freshman and sophomore year, because I took it my summer after sophomore year, and I might not have known to do that if it wasn't for my pre-dental club here. I might have waited and taken it the summer that I was applying, and that would have been so so much on my plate. So I'm really thankful that I joined Predental Club my freshman year right away. But there's also, being on secretary for Predental Club now, I can tell you that so many people join for one semester right before they apply, or the year that they're gonna apply, or even like senior year if they're taking a gap year and they just decided on dentistry. Like, people join all the time, so don't feel like because you didn't join freshman year you shouldn't join at all. Like, literally go ASAP, virtually at this point in time, or next year when things are all straightened out and we can meet in person again. But definitely join. I can't stress how much I've gotten out of my Predental Club experience. It's been insane, like so helpful. Some of the other meetings I'm trying to think that are so helpful is just like we have speakers come in, like local dentists from around East Lansing, but also just like anywhere in Michigan if they happen to know someone here. We've had really cool specialists come in and talk about their work, general dentists that are just doing like unique things. Like one dentist focused a lot on TMJ, then another dentist does like veterinary dentistry, like he does dentistry on like zoo animals, which is crazy. We've had orthodontics, and we've had lots of different general dentists. We've had a periodontist, which was super cool. I didn't even really know what perio was. We've endodontist, literally everything, and it's just so cool to hear about their experiences. And I think the main thing that I get out of being Predental Club is every meeting I go, whether or not the meeting itself was like amazing or just like pretty good, I leave feeling so just like ignited and motivated. Like, okay, this is why I'm at college. This is why I'm working so hard. This is why I am pushing myself and striving to be better and striving to get good grades and be involved and everything. This is the reason I'm here, is because that's my end goal and I'm gonna get there, and it's just so motivating. So I think that's the main reason to be in Predental Club and to go to any of these events and talk to all these people, is to figure out that this is what you want to do, reignite that passion in yourself, and get motivated. So I think that is a great place to end this video. I hope you guys thought this was helpful. If you have any predental advice regarding any of the things we talked about, or if you're predental and just want to say hi, I would love to say hi to you back in the comments. Or if you have any other questions or anything else you're wondering from me about my experience in undergrad so far as a predental student, or things going into dental school, which I'll be starting in June, feel free to leave them in the comments. And I'll also put my Instagram here if you want to follow along on my life outside of YouTube. I definitely am super active on there with my stories and stuff, showing you guys what I'm doing all the time. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.